Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gill with the FX Market Insight for the 4th of October. All right, now coming into Thursday's trading. Now, this is probably the closest we've been to normal market conditions since I can't remember, at least 6 months. Now, what we've got is, and I'll run through what I mean by that, but what we've got is very clear sentiment here on a number of the pairs, or all the major pairs, I should say. Sterling is joining the rest of its correlating currencies moving lower, although we do still have Brexit sort of hanging over that one. But the rest of the currency pairs are starting to sort of trade in normal markets. And this is primarily because of a major event yesterday. If I just come across, I'll just give you an update here. Now, the Fed, it's actually something I overlooked. I was just racing through what economic data was coming out yesterday and a few other things, and I actually missed that the Fed governor, or Fed chairman, I should say, Jerome Powell, was actually due to have a speech. And in that speech, he commented on how remarkably positive the US economy is and the need to continue raising interest rates. Now, this is, it's just so refreshing to see normal market conditions come through. Now, what we've got is, if you come back across to, just have a look at the actual numbers themselves as well. So we've got two things happening here at the moment. We had, if you just come back through the economic data from yesterday, so we've got a situation where we are having, let's make that pen a bit thicker. We've got, say, weaker numbers across the board on most other pairs. German market services PMI, the Aussie building approvals, UK services PMI, just slightly weaker, but Eurozone retail sales, and then you've got stronger US numbers at the same time, right? That's going to give all these major currency pairs clear direction. And then on top of that, you get the US Fed chairman coming out saying that they need to raise interest rates, really confirming the statement from the FOMC last week. Now, this is just a situation where this is like old school markets. The economic data comes out, it all fits in the line. Then you've got the central bank governor saying the exact same thing. And what you get is you get some really good moves. Now, as I said, I sort of overlooked the Fed chairman and missed a lot of these opportunities. And it was just so simple. And this is why it's so important to keep a track of when the heads of the central bank are speaking, because trading doesn't get easier than this. Now, you can see the US dollar has sort of kicked into gear again, just above 96.05 on the dollar index. That Chinese on holiday all week, National Observance Day, but it's sort of the week is slowly, the US dollar slowly climbing high there, but pretty lackluster with the Chinese market out this week. Equity markets, well, you know what? There's not a hell of a lot of movement here in equities. Raising interest rates, you think that would probably come off a bit. We'll see how that goes over the next 24 hours. So when you come back to really assessing, now we can see very clearly, right, just coming back to the major currency pairs, you can see very clearly what's going on. Now, some of these pairs do have some technical levels, some don't. Now, if I just come back to the FX Market Insight, this is a good way to piece it back together to try and work out what's your plan of attack from here. Because we can see where the currencies are going. We just need to try and get in on the momentum and get some good entry levels. So it comes back to looking at your major charts. Now, first of all, trading conditions. As I said, this is the first time in a long while we've got good trading conditions. A central bank, a head of a central bank telling us exactly what their plan is. And obviously being the US dollar. Once we have clear direction on the US dollar, trading all the currencies becomes extremely easy. Now, this won't last forever, but the sentiment should be in the market for the next few days, probably until Friday's non-farm payrolls. Okay, that'll really determine things. But coming forward, we've got US factory orders coming out today. Now, this is like a refined number. It has, it's like almost like a refined durable good. So this is a good number to assess what's going on behind the scenes in the US economy, and also the CAD-ID PMI numbers coming out today as well. So they're the sort of major releases that you want to keep a close eye on. If you come back down here, if I just scroll down, now there's been no change here in the overall sentiment. Now this sentiment, I've had this up for at least a week. Euro bearish technically, Aussie and Kiwi both sort of breaking down now on the hourly, dailies and weeklies. The US dollar, very strong sort of upward move, especially with the hawkish tone from the central bank. Dollar yen, it's just cruising to the top side, minding its own business. I'm still bearish dollar CAD, even though it's come back into, it is coming back towards 129 the figure. And I'll just show you where, I've just updated the next best trade here actually, because I can see a very good opportunity here on dollar CAD and dollar Swiss. Well, Swissy being neutral, just following that US dollar higher. Now, the odd one out there, sterling. Sterling is breaking down on the hourlies and daily charts, but still fundamentally inflation's through the roof there. So, you know, you've got a hawkish sort of upbeat fundamental perspective, but the currency's falling. And it's mainly falling on two things: strong US dollar, but also negative Brexit news, right? That geopolitical situation in the UK is probably the most outstanding lingering geopolitical event. And it's due to continue till March next year. So at the moment, it looks like it will follow the other currencies, but random geopolitical news may sort of screw that situation up. Now, just getting an idea of where these currencies are going on a long-term perspective, right? If you just come over here to the hourly charts, it's a good way to sort of see overall where are the currencies going. Now, you can see there's pretty clear sentiment here once again. On the Aussie and Kiwi, they've continued to trade lower. Euro had that little spike up to 118. It did look a bit fanciful, and now back up under 115. And then here's the daily chart for sterling. You can see it just breaking down through 129.80, I think it was. It hasn't gone a long way. And as I said, traders aren't really willing to get into sterling because of Brexit, and they're getting flushed out of their positions. Dollar yen, another surge to the top side, so it's steadily going up. Now, this is the pair that I wanted to come back to. Now, dollar CAD. Now, there's a couple of key things here that I just wanted to run through. So I'm looking for a trade here. Now, this is the daily charts. Now, the inflation in Canada is very high, and the Bank of Canada have said they will need to raise interest rates, which supports a stronger CAD and a lower dollar CAD. Now, there's a couple of other factors to consider here. Now, oil back to $76. This doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. That also supports a lower dollar CAD. Now, what we've got is, I think we're just seeing a situation where the strong US dollar, especially coming from the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, is slowly squeezing the shorts out. Now, I was looking for a trade back towards 129, but on the daily charts here, we've got a previous support line, which is now going to act as resistance. I'm looking to sell back closer towards this resistance line. So what I'm looking for is a bit of a short squeeze to continue. Just pop above 129, probably take out a few stops and then drift lower. I think we can see this thing, drop another couple of hundred points down. So I'm looking for a trade back towards, well, that trend line at the moment comes in around 129.16, 129.20. So you're looking for a little blip above 129 and then watch it come off. Right, all the fundamentals, the technicals, the technical perspective for dollar CAD are still down, but on the hourlies, if I just come over here and give you a bit of an overview on the CAD, here's the dollar CAD on all time frames where I sort of assess the overall technical perspective. So here's the hourlies, right? So they're just sort of cruising to the sideways. So I think we will get that just a little bit blip to the top side. Here's the daily chart. So it's already broken down there. So come back, test resistance, and then fall away. And you can see it's starting to drift lower there, move lower on the weekly charts as well. So dollar CAD, really good situation. I think it will beat the other currencies as far as competing against the US dollar because of its very strong local fundamental picture, as well as that move on oil. All right, so that's what I'm looking for, guys. Just have a flick through. Now, don't forget, you can go through here and have a look at the overall summary for the daily analysis. Now, that's for those members who do have access, and then you can come back through and have a good look overall at the picture. It will give you a bit more understanding of what we're talking about with regards to that sentiment that is on the snapshot there. All right, guys, that's it for me. Actually, one other thing, just on that, I should say that CAD IV PMI numbers, if that number comes out strong, we may actually, that rally in dollar CAD may just stall where it is. I'll be looking to trade potentially that live if it does come out strong. If it comes out weak, well, then that's going to work nicely into getting my technical trades set up there as well. But don't forget, factory orders coming out at the same time. So there's a couple of little variables there, but I can't highlight enough. Trading conditions at the moment with Jerome Powell telling us that there's more rate hikes coming is really good. So basically you should feel comfortable and confident to look for some good trading opportunities. So get into your charts there, have a look to find which pairs have good levels. At the moment, most of them have already sort of left the building. So it's, you know, if you're not on them yesterday, and I saw a lot of our traders were, you know, hats off to you there, but you may have to wait a day or wait for the economic data, because most of the currencies have already blown through these levels. All right, guys, that's it for me. Chinese holiday today, so I don't expect too much activity in Asia. And with the news at the moment, sort of really revolving around the Fed, as I said, it's pretty good trading conditions. The only lingering thing is Brexit. Now, the UK have got their hands full with that. You know, dollar CAD, pairs some NAFTA gains. That's all pretty good too. But basically, we're getting back to normal market conditions, which is a really good thing. And that's coming from the Fed, which is even better because that impacts all major currency pairs. All right, guys, that's it for me. Enough waffling. I'll see you in the live trade zone. All the very best.